Alright guys, today we're going to talk about macronutrients, the three macronutrients. First we have protein. Protein is definitely not argued that protein is important. We have protein is going to be good for growth, repair, and recovery of the muscles in the body. And then next we have fat. Fat is a little bit more debatable. We've been told for a long time that fat was not good, that saturated fat was not good for us, but in fact it is. It's an amazing dense energy source, and it's very sustainable, which just means that it doesn't burn up fast, and it's a good long-term energy source. Then last we have carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are now what everyone's talking about. It's fast energy. It's less sustainable in the sense that it will not power the body as long as fat will. It gives you more of a quick energy source, and it spikes and drops just as quick. So we know that macros are going to fuel your training. That's your protein, that's your fat, and carbohydrates here. Okay, they're going to fuel your training and athletic performances along with your other daily energy requirements. So how much do we need to take in per day? Well, if we look at daily ratios, we have daily ratios for protein, and what we're basing this off of is per pound of body weight. So if I look at my daily ratios for protein, I have 0.8 grams as my minimum, 1.2 grams is my maximum. So right there I can calculate based on I'm 200 pounds, depending on what I'm trying to do. If I'm just trying to maintain, I'd probably go 1 gram per pound, so 200 pounds if I'm trying to gain. An easy way to do that would be, where do I want to be? So if I wanted to be 205, maybe I'd be taking 205 grams per day to gain that weight. So basing it off of where I want to be or where I'm trying to stay there. So there's your daily ratios. Pretty simple there. If we move on to then fat, daily ratios for fat, minimum 1 gram, maximum 2 grams. That's all going to be based off of energy, if you're having sustained energy, and then also we'd want to be looking at what you are shooting for as far as metabolism, if we're trying to get the metabolism switched over to a fat burning metabolism or not, and you're going to have to play around with that a little bit. Last we have the carbohydrates. So daily ratios pretty easy, same as your fat ratios. Daily ratio is 1 gram, minimum max 2 grams. I'd look at that as if I was doing a hard workout for the day, maybe I'd be closer to that 2 grams. If it's a rest day, then I'd probably be at my minimum, which would be 1 gram there. So how do we use carbohydrates before, after, during the day, before and after a workout? Well, what we're going to be looking at in this challenge is topping off glycogen stores after exercise is imperative. It's imperative that we do that. This is going to ensure that we don't have muscle loss but muscle gain, that we don't lose energy and tear down the body. So it's going to help that performance go up. The rest of the time we can rely on your fat stores for energy, and that will take us to reaching metabolic nirvana, which just means being fat adapted and making changes to your metabolism at the genetic level. So the ability to take and time your macros to make genetic changes and help your performance. So we now know that athletes need to ensure carbs are replenished after exercise. What are going to be the best source of carbs? And that's what we're going to look at next. So best source of carbs, here we go. We got carb sources. The best is going to be starchy veggies, followed by safe starches and glucose. And then less than is going to be fructose, and that's just because it's going to choose to replace the liver glycogen before muscle, and we want to replace that muscle glycogen first, right after that workout. So starchy veggies are going to be our go-to here. All right, so macronutrient timing matters. Matters what time of day we're taking what, depending on when we're working out. Let's take a look at this. So our objectives here is to fuel so you can perform well during your training. And then number 2 is to make sure you are topped off for your next session. So how are we going to do that? Well, we can look at pre-workout. Pre-workout is going to be anything that we have 15 to 75 minutes before our workout, and this is variable. It depends on the time of day you're doing your workout. So you could do early morning or afternoons and evenings. So let's take a look at early morning. We got a lot of you. So sacrificing sleep to eat is just dumb. Don't do that. Eat, or make sure that you get plenty of sleep. Fasted training works well for many of you. So you may already notice that working out in the morning works for you. That not eating a big meal before you come in works out well. You can tap into fat reserves for energy. So this would be if you're trying to lose weight, this is possibly a good option for you. It'll force the body to tap into those fat stores. And then you may take glucose before the workout to reduce muscle breakdown. That or like BCAAs will help as well, to just have in a little shake right before you get started on your workout. So then we got afternoon and evenings. For those, it's going to be about timing your meals. About 3 hours before your workout is great. And then as you go along, so to 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, it becomes more poor. So 3 hours is about perfect for that digestion. I know myself personally, I could eat an hour to an hour and a half before a workout, and I'm usually ready to go. So again, play around with that depending on when you're working out. And then we have intra-workout, so this is during your workout. And the only time we'd really need to be worried about this is if you are working out for 2+ hours. And if you are, maybe you're doing something similar to Olympic weightlifting, that kind of stuff. If you are in the gym and you're doing 2+ hours, you need to consider having BCAAs or maybe a glucose-based shake, just to make sure that energy stores stay where they need to be and you're not tapping into too much of the glycogen and destroying any stores that you had, putting yourself at a deficit. And then we have post-workout, 15 to 30 minutes after. So this is mandatory. Too many people decide not to do this for one reason or another. They have to hurry up, go home, take a shower, get to work, have a few cups of coffee. Before you know it, it's lunch, and they haven't ate for the past 4 hours. So you need to be putting protein and carbs into your pie hole. You need to feed yourself immediately after. This is mandatory for everyone doing this challenge. The reason is because we're trying to restore glycogen muscle stores as soon as possible. So we go back to what's our focus here, and that's to fuel so you can perform well, but also make sure you are topped off for your next session, that you're not at a deficit. Okay, so this will help the muscles restore. You're going to feel so much better, have more energy, making sure that you get that in there. If you need a suggestion on post-workout, we posted a recipe with the sweet potato and apple post-workout recipe, and that went up on Wednesday, so check that out. A protein shake is good, and I do want you guys to be using those, but I also want you to be getting in a starchy carbohydrate. As we talked about before with those carbohydrates, starchy is going to be best. Fructose, so that's like fruit based, is going to be a little bit less, but at least if we're getting something, I'm happy. Okay, so let's take a look at meals. So for your meals, we are shooting for 5 meals a day. We have breakfast, snack number 1, lunch, snack number 2, and dinner. I could just call all of these meals, meals 1 through 5. And so when we're looking at meals, we can look at macronutrient distribution on these. So for this, with breakfast, depending on if you're working out in the morning and then you need a high carbohydrate meal directly after that. You would need to go to the more high carbohydrate for that. But if not, if you're like me, I'm doing my breakfast, and that's going to be high fat. So everyone knows I do my bulletproof coffee, but then I also have bacon, eggs. I might have a little bit of broccoli in there for nutritional value, but basically I'm sticking or leaning more towards fat-based. The reason I do this is because I want to give my body, after a night of fasting, I want to give my body fat right away so that it is triggered to use fat as its energy source throughout the day. So again, remember, using fat as your energy source, or having that metabolism, is the holy grail. Okay, that's what we want. All right. The only reason we got carbohydrates in there is for the workout reasons. So snack number 2 or number 1. If this was me, I have my breakfast, I come in, work out. Snack number 1 is going to be my protein shake and my carbohydrate. Then I'm going to have lunch. Lunch is going to consist of about 40, 30, 30, and I'm looking at that as carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So 40% carbohydrate, 30%, 30% even on the fat and protein. Same thing with my dinner. Now snack number 2, it can be based off of just how you're feeling. So that's the next thing, is using yourself as a laboratory. You can play around with this, play around with when you are working out to find out when your body does its best if you can. Make sure that you are keeping track of your meals: breakfast, snack number 1, lunch, snack number 2, dinner, and then how you're feeling. Just jot it down, make it something easy and quick. You have your logbooks, or you should. If you don't, pick one up at or in the lobby, and make sure that you're writing this kind of stuff down. Nutrition is the basis of all performance, no matter what. So make sure that we're tracking this just as diligently as you're tracking your workouts. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and make sure if you have any questions or anything, just let us know. Shoot me an email or post it to the blog. And remember that you are your own laboratory. Take your time, have fun with this stuff, guys. Experiment. If you have any other questions, or if we need to get some more recipes out there, we will. We'll keep playing around with it. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks.